because I'm a developer. Good evening, and welcome to the April 5th, 2017 meeting of the Abington Township Board of Commissioners Public Works Committee, and may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Becker?
Here.
Klein?
Here.
Myers?
Here.
Commissioner Rothman is excused this evening. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes of the March 1st, 2017 Public Works Committee meeting, and may I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any corrections or additions from members of the committee? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Public Works Committee has 3 items on the agenda this evening. The first is PW1, and this is a motion to adopt resolution number 17-012, approving Abington Township to submit an application to Montgomery County for the Montco 2040 Implementation Grant Program. The grant submission will support sidewalk and crosswalks along Washington Lane, and I so move.
Second.
Any comments or questions from members of the committee?
Is the application already put in?
Yes, the application was submitted by the due date, and the resolution will just be followed up with the application.
Yeah, 'cause the committee just met last week, so I was hoping it was in.
Yes.
Tara, do you want to give a brief description of what the program is for the benefit of the audience?
Sure. This is for sidewalks by the Abington Friends School on Washington Lane. We submitted an application through the Montco 2040 grant program to enhance the walkability and the safety of the area, both in collaboration with Jenkintown. We did get a letter report support from Jenkintown Borough as well to enhance the sidewalks along Washington Lane in front of Abington Friends School.
Thank you. Are there, Commissioner Sanchez?
Just to add on to that a little bit, give good explanation there, Tara. So we'll continue the sidewalk that goes along the Friends School. There's a trail at the Friends School. They're willing to extend their trail to the edge of the property, which is, when I say trail, it's actually like a sidewalk, but a little deeper onto their property, but pedestrians would know where it is, and then it would extend all the way to connect with sidewalk points at Autumn Road. So I'm sure all of us have driven on Washington Lane many times, and you sort of have that narrow trail that's there anyway, the sidewalk where people are walking very close to the road. So this would hopefully take care of that issue once and for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. Commissioner Gillespie.
Thank you.
Real quick question. Will this, trying to picture what you said, will this include curbing, or is this sidewalk so off of the edge that you don't need curbing?
Yeah, I'm probably confused. The portion at the Friends School won't need curbing, although there may be existing curbing, because that's set back a little bit. But along the actual roadway, there is a proposed concrete curb in the plans.
So will you have to enter into an agreement, some kind of an agreement with the neighbors?
Likely, yes.
Commissioner Gillespie.
Thank you. That's where I was going, because I've
You
tried to
stole her
get
question.
sidewalks in. Yes, you did, Peggy. And I just wondered if the residents were aware this could be coming.
Yes.
And they have to sign off. I know that one. Okay. All right.
Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Klein.
Have you looked at a reduced amount for the project?
Have we looked at?
Yeah, potential of a reduced amount.
Well, again, this is just to submit for the grant. So if
Right.
we are awarded a lesser amount, then we would have to decrease. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, it could be sort of done
In stages.
up to a certain street, if you could picture logically, probably away from the Friends School, just to connect as much as
The
possible.
reason I mentioned that, I'm not on the committee this year, but I was last year. I chaired the committee last year. And we tended to stay away from giving away an award of that size because we only had $1 million to play with. So just so I would give that some thought as a potential possibility coming out of the committee's review. So.
And what is the timeline for notice of award?
Actually, Stephen, you may know better than we do. Do you know when they...
I know the committee met with the applications. They had about, I saw them, I want to say there was about 22 applications from the county. The committee met. I believe they're expecting to send recommendations to the county commissioners, I believe towards the end of April, beginning of May, whichever one of those meetings. So I know we're getting a preliminary look at or presentation on it at our Planning Commission meeting on the 19th. So I think it's somewhere after that, because I knew it was going to happen. Our presentation was going to be before the county commissioners got recommendations.
Are there any other comments or questions from members of the board? Any comments from staff? Members of the audience? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. PW2, and this is a motion to authorize a transfer of $20,000 from the 2017 Sump Pump Connections Expense Account number 07-07-566-7516 to the 2017 Stream Maintenance Expense Account number 07-07-566-7514, and I so move.
Second.
Mr. Wrigley, would you care to, Mr. Powers, I wasn't sure, because we were going from sump pumps to streams and all the way back.
Yeah, this past winter, we had a more mild winter as far as sump pumps were concerned, and we didn't need the money for that. But however, we've had some more damages to our streams and locations that we need to clear out debris, especially around some of our bridges and stuff. So we wanted to switch this money so that we could have that available for the spring to do this work. But we can't use just sump pump money to do it. We have to.
You have to transfer it into
the
the...
auditors want us to make sure we make the transfer.
Makes sense. Are there comments or questions from the committee?
Is there a specific use for the 20,000, or is it just getting into some?
We do have some locations, yes. Off the top of my head, I don't know if Timmy was out there locating it with Angelo, so there are some sites, but I don't know exactly which sites they are.
Any other comments or questions from members of the board? Comments from staff? Any comments or questions from members of the audience? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. And finally, PW3. This is a motion to have the proper officials enter into an intermunicipal agreement for maintenance of traffic signals and streetlights located in Jenkintown Borough, and I so move.
Second.
Mr. Mikola, would you care to shed some light?
As you know, the last meeting, we agreed to take the border traffic signals from Cheltenham Township, who originally had been doing it and billing us, and now we're maintaining them and we're billing them. This is a similar scenario where, similar but not similar. We've agreed to maintain their border traffic signals, but the rest of their signals, for the most part, are still on York Road. So for us to be able to keep out the continuity of York Road, talk with the Jenkintown Borough, the township manager for Jenkintown Borough, and they are on board for us to maintain them and then bill them for any problems or breakdowns on their traffic signals as they occur. It works out very well for us. It's a good deal for us. We actually, by maintaining some of their signals, we're able to maintain our signals for free.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Commissioner Klein.
I don't know that this has anything to do with the agreement, but who handles the timing for the lights on Old York Road? How does that get adjusted or looked at? And I know
We
this may have
handle
nothing
the
to do
timing
with
in our township. Each township handles their own. There's a master controller
Yeah.
that handles all of them from Horsham all the way up, and then each municipality handles their own to make their changes along the way. If there's any problems, we would go in and check the timings and make sure they're up to par with the permits that we currently have.
Cloverly Ave, which I think is Cloverly where Rydell Road comes in and Old York Road. The light from Cloverly Ave coming eastbound on Cloverly onto Old York Road is incredibly long for the amount of traffic that comes in there.
I saw that the other day, and I'm thinking that, I think they put in handicap ramps right there at those corners, and I'm thinking that there's a possibility they may have,
Timing for that.
yeah, they may have hit the
It was like
loops.
that before they put the handicap ramps in. I just,
Okay,
if you look at-
there's a possibility that those, there may not even be, I don't know, I didn't check it, if that's their light, but I have to take a look at it to see that maybe there may not be loops in there at all, or they may not be working if they are in there.
To give you an idea, I mean, you can go from Rodman on Cloverly all the way up to Old York Road when the light's green and still make the light and still have some time. But there's never that, I mean, you maybe have 4 or 5 cars there at most in rush hour. So I know it has nothing to do with this, but.
I'll take a look at this after we agree to take care of it.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from members of the board? Comments from staff? Any comments from members of the audience? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. We will now entertain comments from members of the audience on general matters of Public Works.
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. So wanted to just bring up the exchange that we had last time about the street overlays. I went back through the emails. 100%, Commissioner Hecker, the emails indicated that we would be on the list for 2011, not 10 years from 2011. And I think you can imagine at the time that it was asked, if I was told I was going to be on in, I'm still out of breath from running up the stairs. If I was told I was going to be on in 10 years, I think you would have heard from me. And we have not been paved since 1991, which changed later to mid-90s, which apparently somebody doesn't have a date, but they felt comfortable saying mid-90s. From 1991 to 2017, we haven't been paved. And to be told that we're on a list for a 10-year paving plan is outrageous. And not only is that outrageous, but what else is outrageous is the attempt when a citizen comes here to talk to you about something like that, and your efforts are to denigrate what the citizen is saying and say, you don't understand, we meant 10 years. Instead of to talk outside of that forum to the manager, to yourself, to the Public Works Director, to my commissioner who never answers my emails, although Commissioner Myers keeps saying everybody does, okay? This is not okay. This process in this township is not okay. And residents' property, residents' rights, and residents' general quality of life is greatly affected by all of these things. Okay? So I would appreciate if you, Commissioner Hecker, would like to talk to me after the meeting and understand that there was never any indication that we were on a 10-year list and that I didn't understand that. Okay? So,
Concern is duly noted.
thank you.
Any other comments from members of the audience? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I do too. I can't find them anymore.
Let's call to order the Code Enforcement and Land Development Committee meeting for April 5th, 2017, and may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Sanchez.
Here.
Hartman.
Here.
Placido.
Here.
Zupan.
Here.
Gillespie.
Here.
First, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the March 1st, 2017 Code Enforcement and Land Development Committee meeting, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments, corrections, additions to the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Tonight, we have CE1. This is subdivision and land development, LD 1606, Stephen Kozlowski, 1235 Minell Road. There's a motion to approve the subdivision and land development application of Stephen Kozlowski, applicant for the property located at 1235 Minell Road, Abington Township. The applicant proposes to subdivide the existing property of 3.52 acres in size into 6 parcels. The proposed new properties will be served by a new cul-de-sac-style roadway. The proposed properties range in size from 15,900 square feet to 29,180 square feet in lot area. The proposed new single-family dwellings will be served by public water, sanitary sewer, gas, and electric. Each of the proposed new parcels will contain on-site rain gardens, as well as a public stormwater management system that is plotted to be located below the proposed new roadway. The proposed the properties are zoned in the R2 residential district in Ward Number 2 of the Township of Abington, and the motion is subject to conditions and waivers as listed in the agenda, and I so move. Moved and seconded. I believe we have the applicant here tonight, Mr. Kozlowski and companion.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Cunningham. I'm with Cornerstone Consulting, and we are the civil engineers for the project. Also here with me is Steve Kozlowski, who's the developer.
Could we have your name? Could we have your address for the record too? Your business address?
Yeah, 213 West Main Street, Lansdale, PA 19446.
And Mr. Kozlowski, yours for the record too.
72 Jenkintown Road, Elkins Park, 19027.
Thank you.
The 3.5 acre parcel contained a large family residence, which was in poor condition prior to the demolition. The property contained a barn, large home, several accessory structures, and a pool with a large circular driveway. The lot was covered with grass, brush, and a wooded area along the rear and northeast property lines. The proposed plan contemplates a 6-lot subdivision with a new cul-de-sac road off of Minell Road. The homes take access from the cul-de-sac road. The site has been designed to meet all zoning requirements such as use, lot size, and setbacks. There's no relief necessary. Additional site improvements include stormwater management, landscaping, and underground utilities. Our office is in receipt of township staff review letters from January and February, the County Planning Commission review letter from December, a wastewater department review letter from February, and then we also met with the Planning Commission in February and March. Furthermore, Steve and myself have met with township staff multiple times for their input on the project. The last plan submission was revision 2, which is what is before you now. So that was basically a brief overview. So at this time, I'm prepared to go through any of the review letters or the waivers, or we can just open it up for discussion.
Sure. I think probably some commissioners, at least Commissioner Markman. has a question.
The one issue I have is with waiver for sidewalks. I live on a cul-de-sac street, and I really wish somebody would have actually built sidewalks when it was constructed. Pretty much every time a car comes through, my wife and the dogs have to jump up on the curb so that the car doesn't hit them. And if we had sidewalks there, that wouldn't be an issue. So I think sidewalks are an important part of a development like this. So I would not be in favor of waiver number 8 for sidewalks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any comments from Commissioner Klein?
I would agree with Commissioner Markman on the sidewalks. We've given this up too many times in past situations, and this is a neighborhood that has all sidewalks. Am I correct, Commissioner Markman?
Mark, sidewalks in the neighborhood?
Yes, the entire neighborhood, with the exception of the small bulb addition that was done a few years ago to Hoyt, has sidewalks.
Yeah, I would agree not to grant the waiver for the sidewalks. I did have some questions about the stormwater management, and I had spoken to Mike Powers about this earlier. I am concerned about the stormwater management being put underneath the street, and I want to make sure that there are some conversations about the development agreement, that there is an ample amount of time frame and escrow put into place for both inspections and maintenance of that, since we are going to take ownership. So is there a mechanism that we can make sure that that is costed out and escrowed?
It's all done when the subdivision is approved, the land development agreement will be prepared. Under that agreement, there's a stormwater permit that's issued, and under that stormwater permit, all those numbers are calculated, and as far as maintenance concerns and inspection concerns, for up to a 10-year period.
And that will not include any, the township won't be responsible for any maintenance of the inlets or yard drains, whatever they may be, that are actually on the property. Those will still be put to the property owners, the end property owner's responsibility.
That's correct. They're part of the rain gardens, and there's a line item in here that says that those rain gardens and everything on those rain gardens are the responsibility of the property owners and their maintenance. That's a separate issue. However, we will take an inspection fee for those in the future, because we still have to go back and make sure they're maintained and they're in place.
But if silt backs up into those pipes or into that inlet, that's on the homeowners. I mean, we have to alert them of it. We could, because of our MS4 permit, we have to go in there and replace it or do something with it if they don't do something, and we can lien the property. Is that correct?
Well, that's correct. We probably would go through notices. Once the notices, if the notices are not followed through on, then we'd go through a subpoena and then have a judge and so forth. We'd go through the same process we do now with everybody else's stormwater requirements.
But in the end, we would have to take care of it if they don't, and we could lien the property because it's in their, it's part of their maintenance.
This is a state-of-the-art project because now it meets our MS4 requirements, because we used to only have to have MS4 requirements in the Sandy Run. Now we have them in all three watersheds. We're coming to you next month with a plan that has to go to DEP with this type of kind of construction, as well as township projects that have to be fulfilled within the next 5 to 10 years to meet this new stormwater requirement by the state. We did get a permit. We're one of the 3 townships that got a permit in the entire state. We're hoping to get a permit the next time with a proper plan that, like I said, we'll have a meeting next month in May 3rd, and that will present the new plan to you with a 30-day comment period, and this all has to be in by the end of September to DEP with a whole new plan, and we're hoping to get a permit from them. But again, this type of planning helps our MS4 permits, because this is what they're looking for, as well as private development and public development, that we have seepage beds, we have rain gardens, and so forth.
And Mike, part of that escrowed amount, or in the development agreement, will that also include inspections during the construction of the stormwater management system underneath the street?
We'll actually take a developer's escrow, as far as they'll either give us a bond or a bond for all this, and then we'll also get a 1-year maintenance bond when it's all done. Sure. That makes sure that this, it stays up to par for at least a year.
I mean, I know we want to try to concentrate and pick up the street impervious in one location. I just want to make sure that the township's covered for a period of time, or a reasonable period of time, that we don't have to put out the bill for maintaining that if it's done incorrectly or if something happens to it along the process.
Well, like I said, all our escrows are for a 10-year period.
Right,
So
okay.
they're all with Kevin's office, and we've got numerous of them now. We're probably going to have thousands more before it's done. Because even if you do some kind of construction on your property, you have to do the same thing. Right. If you want to put in a shed, you got to put in rain barrels. If you want to put in something that's bigger, you got to put in a seepage pit, and that all has to be escrowed with the township. Each private individual homeowner is responsible for doing that for now, because we don't have a stormwater fee. Right. It's put on the homeowner who's doing, or developer who's doing the construction at this point.
And all that will go past the solicitor's office to make sure that everything's in order?
Everything goes past Michael's office. He's the boss, so we make sure it's all legal and
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Klein. Mr. Powers? Commissioner Gillespie?
Thank you. Just a question. So Minor Road, and then we have the lane or road in, that will be a private road or dedicated at some point?
The road will be dedicated.
It will be dedicated.
Facility
So
in the road will be
okay.
to the township, as well as the sanitary sewer system.
Okay.
Has to be dedicated to the township. But the rain gardens won't. They will be privately owned and privately maintained.
I just wasn't sure about that section there. Okay, thank you.
Any other commissioners? Mark, Mr. Penical, I did have one question on the Planning Commission letter. I'm sorry, the County Planning Commission letter regarding, sorry, I lost my place. The, not different one, I'm sorry.
Crosswalk, street trees, or additional sidewalks?
It was the lights. Maybe it was just on
The light commissioner has been addressed. Both township staff, Mr. Michelo's department, and also the County Planning Commission requested that an additional street light be added. It does not show on the plan you have. However, in conversations with the applicant, that street light will be added along the frontage between lots 5 and 6. There is an existing street light within 50 feet of the intersection, so we staggered the street light. There's one at the end of the new bulb, one at the midway point, and then one at the intersection. So it was addressed.
And it'll all be shown on the...
It'll have to be shown on the final plan that's submitted for recording.
Okay. Thanks very much. Any other commissioners? No. Anyone else, staff?
Two things from staff, if I may.
Oh, yes, of course.
I'm sorry. Item 4 that you see on your agenda was a recommendation from the Planning Commission. We looked into how to quite go about accomplishing that, since it's kind of new. DEP has a pamphlet that they put out in 2015 of the best management practices for maintenance of rain gardens. If this development is approved, and when or if they ever start doing building on it, our idea was to link whatever the latest best management practices are from DEP to any CO that would be issued, because any potential buyer will get a copy of the CO at the settlement table. So it was our only way of trying to make
just
that
so people know
mechanism
here,
work.
rain gardens are basically ditches with plants that cleanse the water, and the water sits in the rain garden for, 24 hours? And
That's the goal.
slowly seeps out and gets cleansed as it seeps out.
And they also have an overflow port that's on them that,
So the risk is at some point that the property owners go ahead and fill the ditches. and-
although they're inspected once every year for 10-year
So that's-
period, we escrow for that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's a good thing as long as it stays in place.
As long as we can maintain it, yes, sir.
Right.
The only other item that I had for you, and it's a question of the applicant, is due to the public entities naming ordinance or policy that went into effect last month, the applicant has not listed the proposed name of whatever the street's going to be called, so that we don't have to come back to the board at a later time. If the applicant has a proposed name, we can put it forward now for the board's consideration. It's up to you.
I mean, isn't that usually something that has to be clear with the fire department so that they can find it easily?
According to the ordinance, the new naming has to be done by the Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
So, but right now I have a to be named later.
Well, can't we vet that for next Thursday? I mean,
Yeah.
figure out what's going on.
If I know what the name is now, at least I can vent it through the other departments and at least have an answer for you.
We picked a name, Mark, in the last several days. Adam and I came up with the name. Stonewell Court is going to be the name of the street.
Two separate words, court.
Stonewell, yes, Stonewell, one word.
Or Stonewell is one word?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any further comments from the applicant?
Just the waiver request for the sidewalk again. The 30-foot cartway is the requirement of a cul-de-sac road. And it's the way the county conservation district also looks at it is it's just, if the sidewalk isn't necessary and there's existing sidewalk along Minot Road, which is the main passageway through that community, it's just adding additional impervious coverage, which needs to be managed and held back then.
We don't feel that the sidewalk installation is necessary here. We have people in the Planning Commission agree that actually live on cul-de-sacs, much as Mr. Markman does. They testified that they never needed sidewalks. The kids played in the street. They put a basketball court in the street. The hockey net goes in the street. Never a safety issue, and we don't really feel it's necessary. We're going to put handicap ramps in at the end of at the beginning of the street, and it's not. Minell Road isn't really a cut-through street. It's about 1 block long, so we don't feel as though sidewalks in that cul-de-sac is a necessary thing.
Thank you for that. Any comments from the public? Okay. Commissioner Martin.
Mr. Sanchez.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I live next door to the post.
Could we have your name and address for the record? I'm sorry.
Nate Sugarman, 1245 Minell. I can appreciate what they say about the impervious surface, but you're talking about 12 houses, which means you're going to probably have an average of 2 kids per house. That's 12 kids got nowhere to play other than in the cul-de-sac. And you know what? I think if you get 1 kid get hit by a car, you're going to have every parent in that cul-de-sac in front of you wanting to know why you guys allow this to happen. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sugarman. Hi there.
Jacqueline and John Myers from 552 Wheat Road. 2 huge concerns. Well, first of all, just as an aside, I would really support sidewalks. My kids grew up in the neighborhood. We absolutely loved playing outside when they were little. They're all grown now. But I lived for the sidewalk. I felt safe with the sidewalk. And the kids who move in there, I think, deserve to have a safe place to run around and play without running down onto Minell to walk, run up and down the street. So I strongly support sidewalks. A huge concern for us, and I want to thank Mr. Markman for always getting back to me in my emails. September 8th, 1996, we were part of what was declared in Abington as a federal disaster. We had 3 to 4 feet of water in our house. We had 2 young children playing in the basement at the time that had to be pulled from the water because it was a flash flood. My property was the only property in June Meadows that was hit in this way. It was an incredible amount of crazy rain that filled us up like a river. If you look at 552 Wheat Road, you can see that we're the lowest property in the entire neighborhood. We took all the water from the whole entire neighborhood. We had help from the township. We had help from FEMA. We couldn't live in our house for a couple of weeks. It was quite a mess, let alone the danger. We didn't have to live in fear, however, because the township took whatever measures they had to take. They did whatever, I don't know what you guys did, but you fixed it, and it has been wonderful ever since. Not a drop of rainwater ever. Sorry, I'm doing that. And so we got over our fear. Part of the conversations that we had with the engineers from FEMA were that the mature trees that we had on our property and all of the vegetation of the property behind us, which we and our neighbors thought would never be developed for whatever reason because there was no access, was part of the reason why this was a 100-year storm and we probably shouldn't have to worry again about this kind of thing. Well, the game has changed, and I am not a person who, who wants to hold back people from, developing land, but I am just incredibly fearful. My biggest concern, I'm happy that the public, stormwater disposal system will be there, and Abington clearly takes ownership for that. We were promised that at the last meeting. That's a good thing. However, the rain gardens present a huge concern. I don't know who's moving in. I don't know how dedicated they are to making sure that these things don't get overrun. I know you're going to inspect them every year, but what does happen after 10 years? I don't know if I'll be here then, but, what's this all going to be like? And am I going to take on the water of the entire, Huntington Valley again in my life? Like, I cannot go through that again. I have all of the documents here. I have pictures. I have all kinds of things. It was terrible. Thank God there was no loss of life as there was in other places. Frank and Marie Deal, I'm sure people remember that. I knew them. And to think that that had happened to them at the same time as it was happening to us so far away. So I have to bring that to you. Again, I thank Mr. Markman I have all of our emails here. He's worked along with me, reassuring me that the proper measures would be taken. I trust Abington. I love Abington. I think you'll do right by us. But I'm extremely concerned that this could happen to us again with the way my property is situated in relation to this development that I'm actually going to be looking up at, and I think, well, all I keep seeing now is water coming down.
Can you do me a favor, identify your property on the plan just for the...
I am so bad at that. So if they could do that, I would appreciate it. I can't see that kind of diagram.
And I guess we can ask our engineer, so the potential of her flooding, why don't you explain just what's mitigating that with the design?
The lowest point is whole development.
Mm-hmm.
The house is actually below street level.
Mm-hmm.
Water doesn't inundate it.
Let me just let the engineer address it, because he's reviewed the plans. I just want to, let the township engineer, I'm asking.
As far as the stormwater requirements, not only have they improved the stormwater problems on the site had so much impervious surface, well, they were required to not only just take care of what they're proposing, but also reduce it by 20%.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been done in the calculations. We did go in and we did put some new inlet systems in because of that storm. The water didn't get into the existing storm sewer, and it overflowed, and it did flood the homes down below, the two homes down below. So we have gone in and made that correction. Now, I'm never going to guarantee you we get another 10-inch storm in 3 hours, that 10 inches of rain in 3 hours, that anything we put in even today is going to, provide for that magnitude. But we do, after the 10 years is up, we're still responsible for inspecting these systems. It's still in the township to make sure every year that they're in place, they're working, and they're working fine. It's just that the 10 years is what we've made an escrow, paid for it up to this point, for the 10 years. After the 10 years, then the township's got to figure out how they're going to pay for all these inspections in the future. But it doesn't mean that the township's still not responsible. The township will be responsible if the laws are still in place in 10 years, if it still exists 10 years from now. Nobody knows, what that window is going to be. But for now, we're still going to inspect it. The problem is, in 10 years, we're probably going to have 8,000 to 10,000 sites in the township to inspect every year.
Well, let me ask you a question. So the water that has to get held on the site, what percentage would you say is rain guards, and what percentage is the underground detention?
I would say it's probably about 30 or 40% of the rain gardens, and I think it's probably about 70%.
So about 70% of the water is actually in the underground detention. So
the road is generating the most amount of water.
Right.
That's
right.
what's generating the huge road, and that's why we have that detention system under the road, so that we can, in the future, maintain it. And the maintenance for now will be just to open up the culvert, make sure there's no debris in there, make sure that debris is out. 40 years, 50 years from now, and then you might have some pipes that have to be replaced. 100 years, of course, everybody projects 100 years, and then you got to replace everything in the town.
So 70% of the water is the underground detention. The rain gardens that would potentially affect this particular neighbor, which home sites you think could potentially, if the rain gardens get filled in or overflow, could potentially flow that way?
These three homes along here, all this drains to the road.
Okay.
It actually gets to the road, so it's just the rain garden for these three homes. Everything here gets to the detention system and goes down.
So the good part is you're taking the water from over half the site, and that's hitting the detention. So if those three homes potentially filled in the rain gardens, then maybe, so you're down to 15% of the water on the site, but I guess 15% of the water site could potentially, if they weren't properly maintained, flow in that direction. So that's the risk. But it's 15%. And where the property was pre-development, how was the water flowing off the site that caused this, catastrophe?
Water from these three lots actually were coming this way. What the catastrophe was at the low point here, there was not enough storm sewers in the street, and what happened was the water getting into the system got overtaxed.
Okay.
And this jumped and ran down.
And ran right down there.
So that's why we went in and put the extra inlets in and put piping in to and that's why they haven't had problems in the past year. Now, we haven't had 10-inch rain since
Right.
2001 was the last 10-inch rain.
So in your opinion, the developer's doing pretty much, everything that's required and more to try to capture that water at this point?
Our ordinance is very strict.
Okay.
It makes them do that.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course, Commissioner Gillespie.
Thank you. Did you say that before, when the original buildings were there, there was more impervious surface?
Well, there was impervious surface there. There was the buildings, the roadway into the buildings.
barn?
There was a barn, a large barn. That was all impervious surface. And none of that was being controlled as far as stormwater is controlled. Now, because of the site, they had to reduce that by 20% and also bring the new Penny Pack regulation, 167 plan, makes you do even more stormwater control. So
Right.
the road system's oversized a little bit. Even if you put these sidewalks in, if you require the sidewalks, I believe the calculations will be able to control that water still, even if that happens. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that too. So it's up to you about the sidewalks.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. Myers, we thank you for your comments, and your
Thank you.
concerns are duly noted. Commissioner Markman, did you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to make an amendment to the motion, which requires sidewalks, so essentially not granting waiver number 8 that was requested by the applicant. So the other waivers are fine, not granting waiver number 8.
Can I ask
I'll second that.
Oh, I was just going to ask.
Been moved and seconded. Did you,
I wanted to ask another question.
you want to ask, we can have a question now on that.
Well, Michael, you just mentioned that, will the sidewalks make that big of a difference in the water flow and whatever?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, again, I looked at the calculations, and we do have it. You can't size something perfectly, and I'm not going to let you undersize it. So it's a little oversized. So by adding these sidewalks into a small portion of the stormwater requirements, so I don't believe that's going to affect the stormwater control whatsoever.
Thanks.
So the amendment has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, so now we can vote on the motion as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Next and last, we have CE2, Draft Ordinance Number 2131, Medical Marijuana Dispensary and Marijuana Grow Facility. This is for information only. The Board of Commissioners will consider the adoption of Draft Ordinance Number 2131, an amendment to the zoning ordinance of the Township of Abington. Ordinance Number 2131 creates use definitions for both a medical marijuana dispensary and medical marijuana grow facility. In addition, on-site parking regulations and separation requirements have been included in the ordinance. Ordinance Number 2131 was drafted to bring Abington Township into compliance with the requirements of Act 16 of 2016 of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. A public hearing has been scheduled for Thursday, April 13th, 2017, at 7:30 p.m. in this boardroom. And again, that's for information only. And that will conclude the formal agenda for Code Enforcement and Land Development Committee for this evening, but we will now open it up to general comments on Code Enforcement and Land Development.
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. So I have two major issues tonight. The first one is vacant properties. I requisitioned the documents for the properties that are on the vacant, that are considered vacant and that are being considered for the conservatorship, et cetera, and asked for all of the information that was available on any letters that they'd had, any consequences that they'd had, anything. The vast majority of these folders, some of the folders literally just had a property description from the Montgomery County Assessment Board and a letter saying, you owe us vacant property dues, okay? it was horrifying to see that we've had properties such as, I think most of you know the Midas Muffler sign, rusted, the big yellow rusted sign. Now it's a different color. You're welcome. I don't know if it's any better, but it still needs some attention. Okay? When I went to that property, by the way, the boarded up panels were down, thrown on the ground. The property was wide open, and the big rusted sign was there. There was a broken light and other things. Can you even imagine that there was no letter in the file detailing to that owner what amendments needed to be made? And I spoke to the owner to find out if there had been letters that maybe weren't in that file. And there weren't. This should be a concern for all of you. Every Abington resident has had to drive down this street that you're calling blighted and using our money to now find solutions for. When we have a solution we're already paying a rather substantial salary for, okay, and a department that we're paying substantial salaries for, multiple salaries. And yet there was, in that file and many others of these files, not a single word, you must fix this property. It does not meet our code. Those neighbors should be livid with all of you. This is not the first time you've heard that. I'd love to see the hands of who thought that maybe they would change that. But apparently, nobody. And I think that's outrageous. And now, what you'd like to do is take more public money to benefit those properties. And I think that's wrong. Absolutely wrong. We're becoming the armchair developers, okay, with public money and public property. We're going to take that and make it public property. Not okay.
Thank you.
May I also make a comment on the zoning rewrites? Because I've asked for them.
You've used up your 3 minutes now.
Okay.
Time
Well,
expired.
please be kind enough. I shouldn't have had to use up any minutes on that. I brought it to this board several times. I'd like to know why I still have to say anything about it.
I think
And
we're-
whether you, Commissioner Sanchez, as head of the Code Enforcement Department, might get back to me with a report about what the Code Enforcement Department's going to do about this. Okay? So I shouldn't have had to say that again. May I please make a
You
comment?
can make your comments at the next board meeting, the next opportunity. For
That's not acceptable, because April 27th, the
This is-
zoning rewrites are going
These are
to
our
be out.
speaking rules, so there'll be a meeting in between.
The speaking rules are regularly violated by people on that dais to the detriment of the residents of this township, and I'm asking you, please, to be kind enough to hear that the zoning rewrites not only don't have a summary,
Sorry.
but they are being played after a 10-minute jump rope segment and after a meeting that's been playing for a month.
Your time has expired. You're now out of order. Please take a seat. We can conclude this. And we can
I
pick up
think
the
who's
next-
out of order is on the other side of this podium.
Thank you for your comments. All right. Can we have a motion to adjourn? All right.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the Public Safety Committee meeting for April 5th, 2017.
Thank you.
And can I have a roll call, please? Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Here.
Thank you very much. And now a motion to approve the minutes of the March 1st, 2017 Public Safety Committee meeting, and I so move.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any corrections or additions to the last month's minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now I'd like to call on our Chief Livingood for this evening's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Schreiber. At a previous meeting, we discussed some of the steps that we were taking in response to the attacks and incidents that were occurring at cemeteries, religious institutions, and other locations. We discussed what we were doing, and I wanted to provide you an update on what we have done so far in regards to active shooter training, security assessments, and training exercises. This has all been spearheaded by Emergency Management Coordinator Tom McEnany, along with Lieutenant Earl Sauerman from the Police Department and Sergeant Tom Scott. As you can see by the report that was distributed to you earlier today, they have been extremely busy. Over the last couple of years, they've completed a total of 84 trainings and/or assessments, and this was all accomplished in addition to their normal, regular, routine duties. In many of these cases, they've gone back and redone them as things changed, as the buildings were altered or other things caused them to kind of just renew the plans, if you will. I would like to just take a moment to thank them for the excellent job they have done in keeping our institutions safe in Abington Township. On January 20th of this year, we posted a press release about 5 men who had been arrested and charged with a series of 15 high-end burglaries in Abington, as well as jurisdictions in Montgomery, Delaware, Chester counties in Pennsylvania, also in Newcastle County, Delaware, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. One of these burglaries occurred on August 28, 2015, at a residence on Jericho Road in Abington. One of the 5 men arrested has been identified as the fence of stolen property. And earlier this year, and following the initial arrest, the police task force investigating the burglary served a series of search warrants, including 3 of them on Jewelers Row in Philadelphia. Approximately 150,000 pieces of jewelry were seized, worth millions of dollars. And a press release by Montgomery County's district attorney was previously distributed regarding this incident. The jewelry has all been carefully cataloged, photographed, and those pictures are now posted on Abington Police Department website, on the Montgomery County District Attorney's website, and on Lower Merion Police Department's website. Lower Merion took on the brunt of the responsibility of taking care of that jewelry, but they were aided by a couple of institutions. We had officers up there for 2 weeks that were helping in the process. McLaughlin provided a lot of assistance to them, Jewelers Security Alliance, and certainly the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office. As a result of that, we have positively identified some of the jewelry stolen from that burglary on Jericho Road. And just last week, we learned that there was jewelry identified from a burglary that we had not even connected to these individuals from 2014, November 2014, and that was on Canterbury Road. The piece that was identified there happened to be a charm bracelet with the victim's children's birth dates on it, so that's a pretty good identification. It doesn't get much better than that. There's been, my understanding is, in talking to Lower Merion, they have approximately 48 separate burglaries from 30-some-odd jurisdictions that have been identified amongst this stolen property. About a week ago, I went down with Detective Sergeant Steve Fink, who was our lead investigator in this, and really the lead investigator of the entire investigation. As he has done so many times before, he did just an excellent job of spearheading this entire very complex investigation. Newcastle County, Delaware, invited Steve and myself down, and Steve was awarded a plaque and a ribbon from Newcastle County, Delaware, along with one of their detectives, Dave DiNardo, who also worked with Steve and diligently pursued this investigation. In the words of the Chief of Police of Newcastle County, Delaware, it was clearly the biggest and most complex burglary investigation in the history of their department. That's a large department. It's a 400-man department and a big organization. So that speaks about the volume of this and the job that Steve Fink and the other investigators did on this. And we'll be recognizing Steve a little bit more in the future regarding from Abington Township Police Department. And by the way, if you have any burglary victims that you think might have had stuff that was stolen that could be on this site, I would urge them to go to the Abington Police Department website. You can log on, you can take a look at these pictures. You can imagine with that many pictures, it's not that easy to navigate, but you can do it. And if you see something that you think might be yours, we'll contact Detective Sergeant Steve Fink, and he'll help you from that point forward. So, any questions, you can just call us, and we'll help people guide them through that. March 17th of this year, we received an email from Mr. Nate McGillis of Sherman Avenue in Huntington Valley. Mr. McGillis had been doing some research online and found a story about an Abington Township constable named Daniel O'Brien who was killed on August 8th, 1904, at about 1 a.m. in the morning. Mr. O'Brien and his father were in bed. They heard a ruckus outside. It was chicken thieves. They grabbed their guns, went downstairs, and Mr. O'Brien, the constable, was shot in the chest and killed. His father was seriously wounded, was taken to the hospital. He did recover. This was, as you can imagine, a major event in 1904. And Constable O'Brien's death was really the impetus for forming Abington Township Police Department. The residents decided that it was such an unruly area that something had to be done, and so they decided that they would form a police department, and that's how we were born. That's how we started from the very beginning. We really appreciate the work that Mr. McGillis did, and what he did beyond looking that information up is he submitted it to the Officer Down Memorial page, which is a national web page. It's connected with the National Police Monument in Washington, D.C., and they accepted Constable O'Brien's name to be added to the Police Memorial page. Now, that's not quite on the plaque yet. That's a couple steps that we're going to have to do to get it there. But if you look up Constable O'Brien on the Police Memorial page, you will see him there. So it was quite a nice piece of work on Mr. McGillis's part, and we really appreciate him doing that. We had known about this case for many, many years, but really we just assumed it was too long ago. Nobody took the impetus to look at it. But I assigned Lieutenant Kelly Warner. Now, Lieutenant Warner is very involved with the National Police Memorial. She has several times participated in a ride from all the way from up here, a bicycle ride down there, to raise funds to support the police memorial. She's going to do it again this year, so she was the natural choice to look into this and follow up on it. And she went to, along with a couple of the interns we currently have, she went to the Old York Road Historical Society, and the people there were very, very helpful. They brought up the newspapers, the Ambler Gazette from 1904, which detailed this whole incident. Told us where the constable was buried in St. Anthony's Church in Ambler, visited the graveyard, followed up on it, and we'll be doing something in writing at a future time. I'd like to probably bring Mr. McGillis in and recognize him at a board meeting for his efforts on our behalf. But it's quite a thing, this many years later, to have somebody really go to that length to recognize what was done there. The newspaper pages that we have from there are absolutely fascinating, as you can imagine. And so I have those available, and we'll let you take a look at those, anybody's interested. And that's my report.
I just have a quick comment or question on that. Is I believe the article said, because you had sent it to me, that it was across from Hillside Cemetery, so it's probably either in my ward or Tom Bowman's ward or maybe Dennis's ward. Do you know where the original...
That's correct, Commissioner. It was in the newspaper article. In one place, it locates it as being across from the cemetery, and it also says it was right next door to the monument yard where they do the granite. So you can kind of picture it. I can, in my memory, can remember where that thing was. So it was right there, and it's exactly correct.
Trying to figure out where his farm was with the chickens when I read the article.
Interestingly enough, that area was called Hillside at that point in time. And it was named after the railroad stop, which was actually, as you can see, on the hillside there, the Roslyn Station. The area was called Hillside.
Are there any questions from the Chief's report or comments from the Commissioners? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Al, do you have, I know I left you out last time, so I want to make sure I don't do that again this time. Do you have
I'm happy to report I have no report tonight.
And we also have Rich Garrett from Second Alarmers, who's waving in the audience. We have our fire marshal out in the audience there, and John Rohr sitting up front. Do any of you gentlemen have anything that you want to add? Okay, then we'll move on with our agenda. So PS1 is a motion to adopt ordinance number 2137, amending Chapter 156, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking Regulations, Section 25, parking prohibited at all times, no parking between signs, no parking here to corner, parking prohibited except certain hours, no stopping or standing, at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on April 13th, 2017 at 7:30 PM, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from the commissioners, staff, audience? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. PS2 is a motion to advertise ordinance number 2138, amending Chapter 156, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 14, Stop Intersections, and Article 3, Parking Regulations, Section 25, parking prohibited except certain hours, no stopping or standing, for adoption at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on May 11th, 2017 at 7:30 PM, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from commissioners, staff, audience? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That concludes our formal agenda. Are there any comments about public safety? Yes. Dennis.
Just want to make a statement, a message to all our viewers out there, that the Second Alarmers is having their fundraising drive. It's going to be getting underway shortly. And I'm asking all the residents in this township to support this campaign. The fine women and men of our Second Alarmers are always there when we need them. So that's the message I want to send out. So if everybody can participate in that, that would be a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. Any other commissioners, staff, or audience? Any comments about public safety?
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. So I mentioned to you at the previous meeting or one recent about the NOMO Robo. And I've spoken since then, not spoken, but I've emailed with Chief Livingood about that, who told me that they don't have anything to do with that. That's FEC stuff. If we have a problem with NOMO Robo. To refresh your memory, when you sign up for NOMO Robo to get rid of the harassment from the Rachel from Cardholder Services, who calls you 15 times a week, you then are losing the privacy that the phone company is required by FCC regulations to give you, and you're diverting your call to another agency, the NOMO Robo, who doesn't have those same requirements, number one. But also they have a contract that basically says for 20 years they own your information, they can connect your name to it, they can sell it, they can do anything you want, and you even waive your moral rights. So that's just to refresh you what I mentioned before. So when I hear that our township can't do anything about that because that's FCC stuff, I don't go for that. Our township is fine with putting out notices about the IRS scams. If you're getting an IRS scam, this is a scam. This is a scam. This is you diverting your calls to somebody else who then is using them in a way that might harm you. Okay? And we need our police to recognize that that is an avenue to harm. They apparently are not going to do it right now. And so the upper part of their thing says we're not selling your information. But the bottom part of their thing says we have the right to sell it for 20 years after you terminate your contract. So that's a scam. And when our police seem not to have the right to alert residents to a scam, when in fact they are putting out alerts to those kind of phone scams all the time, I have a problem with that. Okay, and if we need to have a powwow and figure out what we can do, then we need to have a powwow and figure out how we change this. Okay, but it's not okay to say thank you for your comments and then for nobody to do anything about this. It needs to be changed. That's number one. The solicitation thing is another thing that I've asked you endlessly, please, to ask the rules, to change the rules so that the solicitors have to wear their permit so people are aware that they need a permit. Wear it around their necks. People will be aware that anybody without a permit is there illegally, pretty much everybody. Okay? So I don't understand why there's no cooperation whatsoever, and I can't get anybody outside of this meeting to sit down and let's powwow how to fix this broken thing. Okay? People wonder why government is broken. It's so easy to fix. You sit down, you say, here's the problem, what's the solution? Let's institute it. And it doesn't take much time or much effort. Okay? So there's also a complete absurdity with Chief Kelly told us that we shouldn't put our flags up. Okay? But then Chief Kelly also said solicitors aren't dangerous. We shouldn't put our flags up because we might alert people that we have mail in our box to be stolen. But then, when the solicitor comes and opens our box and puts the card in, that's not dangerous. Okay, something's wrong with that, all right? It is dangerous to have somebody who enters your mailbox. So there is a danger to solicitors, and our finances can be ruined when people get your information. So thank you. Can we please fix some of the things that are broken outside this room? And if we could, I wouldn't be here saying this. Thanks.
Are there any other comments from anybody in the public? If not, that concludes our agenda.
Don't knock over the thing. All right. Good evening. It is my pleasure to call to order the April 5th, 2017 Abington Township Public Affairs Committee meeting. And let us start with the roll call.
Commissioner Spiegelman.
Here.
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 All right. The minutes. This is a motion to approve the minutes of the March 1st, 2017 Public Affairs Committee meeting, and I so move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any alterations? No. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Look at how nicely we're moving along. We have a special presentation tonight from a special guest. So it is my pleasure to call on Jen Sherwood from our awesome Township Environmental Advisory Council, the EAC.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Happy spring to everyone. April is Earth Month, and we're glad to say that we're enjoying some really nice weather after all that icy snow that we had. So this is our annual report about what the EAC has been up to, and we've had quite a year, so I'll just go through some of the highlights. So we're 7 volunteer members that are appointed by the board, and we help Abington go green, looking into natural resources and improving our environment, advising the township, and educating the public. So our biggest part of 2016 were our sustainability efforts, but we're still always working on water quality and open space. So this year we had a pretty big year. Many of you helped with the sustainability assessment that we did using the Star Communities tool. And we worked on creating a sustainability plan for the township. We used a tool called Star Communities, which allows you to assess your community, it offers you a rating, and it allows you to develop plans to become more sustainable. So this is just a map of other communities that have used this feature to help improve their towns. We achieved a 3-star rating out of 5, and this was with a purely volunteer effort, or I should say a volunteer-led effort. We are the first municipality to do that. All of the other efforts so far have been led by the municipalities themselves. So this is a pretty big deal for us. And we received a scholarship, and we funded it through some of our fundraising efforts. Penn State has also become a Star affiliate affiliate university, and so now we're working with them on our future plans. So how did we do? I want to thank everyone here because most of you helped in this plan in one way or another. And we also had many community partners that have helped with this effort, since this is really a township-wide effort and it involves all these areas of improvement. So we did really well in the area of education, arts, and community. Obviously, we have great school districts. We have great health care. So health and safety includes all of our emergency services, so another area where we did really awesome. And then, you can look at all the other areas. But this also shows that there's plenty of room for improvement. We also received 80% of the innovation credits available, which shows that Abington Township's got some really leading-edge programs. So, points of pride. Here's where you guys get to feel good about Abington. So, we exceeded the outcomes in almost all of the, like health and safety, and let's see, Ed Michelow in the refuse recycling department for waste minimization. So we had some really outstanding outcomes for our emergency management and the fire department. And they also recognized us for outstanding civil rights policies in the school district and the township. So we had some really great innovation, and they definitely recognized us for that. So these are all great things. Okay, now everyone knows we have great schools, great health care, but it also recognized us for some smaller things, like how many people are within a half mile from a green space or a park. So we did great there. And 100% of people are within a mile of a public venue where you can have public meetings and events. So those things are really great about our township. And the fire department has already increased their ISO rating and that translates to lower insurance rates for our residents. So these are all really great things. Looking forward, we're going to use the new plan that we have to make improvements. We're already working with our partner, Penn State Abington, to help us pull together an executive committee and a steering committee. So if anyone is interested in participating, we would welcome some input. And then, of course, we have all these wonderful areas where we can work on improving. And we're already doing things like the master bike plan, the walk, park, train, Abington. So all these things are ways to improve our sustainability. Okay, of course, also on our sustainability efforts, we've been encouraging the Shop Local program. We're still doing our Grow Green Rewards Card program, which becomes a discount to those local businesses. Okay, so that's sustainability, and we're going to move on to water quality. So the EAC helps the township meet their stormwater requirements as part of the Clean Water Act and our MS4 permit requirements. And we're doing the rain barrels, we're helping out with the stormwater projects, and we're doing water quality monitoring. So the MS4 requirements require education and outreach, which we help in that role via our Rain Barrel the Town program. So not only is this a volunteer effort, but we're reaching many people in your communities to educate them about stormwater. I'd say that most of the education we do at these workshops is stormwater. If you haven't attended one of our Rain Barrel workshops, we really encourage you to come and see it. And of course, we have lots of partners. Oh, I'll get to that. And it's a self-funded program. Okay, so in 2016, we had a great year, 153 barrels. We're up to 1.3 million gallons retained, and we're hoping to do even more this year. So Karen put together this great map of where we have placed barrels in the last 2 years. So red is 2016, blue is 2015, and it sort of corresponds to housing density. As you can see, the northwestern end has much more housing density than the other areas. And this is only the barrels that have come through our program, so it doesn't include barrels that people might have gotten elsewhere. So it's a great program. It helps people get discount barrels to meet their stormwater requirements. We also partner on many of the stormwater projects that are happening in the township. So we work with the engineering department, the parks department, and our 3 watershed organizations as well. And we're doing water quality monitoring. There's a grant from the William Penn Foundation, and they are interested in finding out, are these projects working? And so this is where we come in. You know, are these riparian buffers doing what we think they should be doing? And so we are doing monthly monitoring in association with our 3 watersheds, the Tookonie-Tacony-Frankfurt watershed, the Wissahickon Valley Watershed Association, and the Pennypack watershed. And finally, we still work on protecting open space with a lot of cleanup, planting events. We partner with the Great American Cleanup of PA, with International Coastal Cleanup, and once again, this is a way to spruce up our parks and open spaces and roadways, and it basically creates a sense of community to the people who live there, and it makes them feel like it's their park, and with additional ownership feelings, people will help take care of their parks better. Lots of partners, all the organizations that volunteer in Abington. So we had like 17 events. We pick up tons of trash. Here's a nice picture from the Ardsley Wildlife Sanctuary. You know, if you have illegal dumping in your ward or have a problem area, we're happy to come in and help you clean it up. We can get volunteers. We get supplies through PennDOT, so we can help you out if you have a problem. So I want to thank all those volunteers who've helped us out. What do we have there? 264 volunteers. So thanks, everyone. This year, we've already started our cleanups. We were out there in the snow on February 11th at Lorimer Park, and it wasn't too much of a problem. And last Saturday, we had the Boy Scouts cleaning up the Boy Scout Preserve, so they had about 100 volunteers out at that event. So I want to thank Boy Scout leader Sherry Sutton for helping lead that effort. So we hope that you'll come out to one of our events. If you need something done in your ward, just let us know. We'd be happy to help. Okay, we're doing our usual education of the public with outreach at all these community events. And we partnered in 2015 to become an Audubon bird town. So working with Audubon is about improving our environment, helping birds, helping wildlife, and they're working on getting different areas of the township certified as bird habitat. So they're working with different organizations and landowners to help improve the land that's already here. And one of the latest efforts is to work with the Old York Road Ministerium in getting their properties certified. You can certify your own backyard, and Audubon has a website with lots of tips on how you can make your yard healthier. Audubon's slogan is, "Where birds thrive, people prosper." So if your yard is healthy for animals, it's healthy for you. We're also having outreach events at the schools, bird walks at the Pennypack Important Bird Area, and this Sunday at the Briarbush Earth Festival, we're going to have a native plant swap. So if you like plants, come on out and join us. So here's a list of some of our other events, including the Briarbush Earth Fest. We'll also be doing a rain barrel workshop at 2 o'clock on the back deck at Briarbush. I'll show you how to hook it up and everything that you'd like to know. And some other rain barrel events. Shade Tree Commission is having an event at the War Memorial Island on April 29th. And then in the fall, we'll announce our future events. The Montgomery Award is given out by the township each year to someone who's helped Abington's environment. And last year it went to Winnie Morgan for her beautiful gardens at Lorimer Park. So if you know someone who's helped our environment, we invite you to submit a nomination. We accept them all year round, but we make that year's deadline April 30th so that we can get the award awarded at the July Board of Commissioners meeting. Okay, so goals: improve sustainability, help our community be better. And how you can help: I thank you commissioners for advertising our events in your newsletters, so please continue to do that. partner with us on events, or if you have something in mind, we're glad to help out. We always invite volunteers, so if you have a resident who's interested in the environment, send them our way. And our meetings are the second of the month. We also have a Abington Township Green program for if people want to help improve the parks, and a tree memorial program if someone would like to purchase an honorary tree. So I want to thank everyone and enjoy the springtime weather and help Abington go green. Thank you.
Jen, thank you so much, first of all, for this excellent presentation, but more significantly for all of the hard work and dedication and planning and vision that all of your activities and achievements represent. It really is outstanding. And I know Kaki Evans isn't here, but we have to give her a quick shout out because I know she really was one of the people who spearheaded the whole Star Communities application. And I want to say, without embarrassing her, Karen McGarry Rosen is also in our audience, a friend and neighbor in Ward 11, and I know how much everyone who follows EAC on the website, especially on social media and all the outreach, knows how much she has contributed to really raising EAC's profile, making what you do and being able to get involved with you that much more accessible to everyone. So thank you so much. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Questions from the board?
I think I said the same thing last year, but, you guys are putting in incredibly positive work, and I always think the positive energy you put out there is just so amazing, and it reverberates, and, you do, the work you do is just amazing, and I want to thank you for all the energy, and it just, I think the dividends just multiply over time, so thank you very much for everything you do. It's really good stuff, and we're lucky to have you here, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Markman. That was uncharacteristically touching. That was very nice. All right. Then let's get on with let's not get on with our formal agenda, because we also we have a report. He's not a unique guest, but he's here every month, and happy to hear from him. Andy Oles, our Parks and Recreation Director.
Thank you, Commissioners Spiegelman. I have a couple points of interest for this meeting. Our annual egg hunt is this Saturday, April 8th, at Ablethorpe Park. The hunt begins at 10 a.m. sharp. That means it's
really
over
sharp.
By 10:05. So please get there early so you don't miss it. It is a rain or shine event, but the weather does look good. The last day for the pool discount is Monday, April 17th, as the 15th is a Saturday. So we will give everybody a couple extra days for that. We have an Ablethorpe Park Spring Yard Sale. It's Saturday, April 29th. The rain date is the 30th. Sign up for a table, $15 for a table. It's a 7 a.m. setup, and the market opens at 8 a.m. Second annual, I believe, and did really well the first time. So if you have stuff you want to...
Andy, what was the date on that?
29th.
The 29th.
Thank you.
I paid attention.
Also coming up in May, we are running a trip to Annapolis for a day trip, day on your own in Annapolis. Really nice town if you haven't been there, right on the water. It's $50 a person and leaves right from Ablethorpe Park. The activities guides, they should be arriving in homes this week if they haven't gotten there already. It has been on the website for a while now, but I know they're at the post office. And they are at the township facilities as we speak, and the township building, Ardsley Community Center, Ablethorpe Park, our park's main office, and the library. Again, also I want to encourage people, online registration, get your account set up for pool memberships. It'll make it go really smooth when you come in to get the pictures. And then once you do it, you're done. And any programs you want to sign up for, you just click and go from there. And with that, we did run some numbers. In the winter programs that we had, which is when we first started it, we had roughly 151 people enroll in programs in our office and 93 enrolled online. And that was when we had a soft opening, so it's not a full winter season. For the spring-summer session, it went from 39 people enrolling in person or in our desk to 229 registering online. So already so the totals were basically 190 in-persons to 322 online. And that's really only about a 2-month thing. So we're already seeing a shift almost inversely to going online. And as we expect it to keep getting bigger. So I'm going to keep track of these numbers, and I'll give you guys reports on how that's going as it's going. But I expect it to keep increasing.
Thank you, Andy. It's nice to hear that we're right in the 21st century.
And that is all I have.
All right. Any questions from the board for Director Orles? All right. Now we will move on to our rather robust formal agenda. Starting with PA1. This is a motion to accept the lowest responsible bidder and enter into a contract with LJ Paolela Construction Incorporated in the amount of $1,545,571 to construct a new community facility at Crestmont Park, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Director Strother, I know we just got all the bid numbers. Any comments you want to make on this? I know we've been working on this for a while.
Yes, not too much comments. We received 3 bids. The lowest bid was submitted by the company listed in your agenda, and as you mentioned, we feel favorable about this bid that was submitted and the company, and we will recommend awarding the contract to the construction company listed in the agenda.
Thank you very much, Director Strother. Any questions from the committee? From commissioners in general? Townships? Commissioner Klein.
Van, can you talk about what was value engineered out of this to bring the number, or not?
Sure. We had deduct alternates listed in the bid that was submitted. 2 of the deduct bids were for reducing the field stone that's on the exterior of the building and the interior building. That came up to a dollar amount, I believe, to $44,000. We also have an alternate bid to reduce the fire alarm pull stations, which this is a 1-story building and has 2 exits out of the large multi-purpose room, so there's no need. The code does not require a fire alarm system, so we accepted that bid, which brought the number down to the number listed in the agenda.
And did you eliminate the basement?
Yes, the basement was eliminated.
So it's now a slab on grade facility?
I'm sorry?
Slab on grade?
Yes, it's a slab on grade.
All right, thank you. Any questions from township staff? Audience? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. PA1 passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Strother. PA2, this is a motion to authorize the use of funds from BB&T account number 139-000-740-639 in the amount of $119,027.62 as of January 1st to fund the construction of the new community facility at Crestmont Park. The account was established on August 31st, 1990 for affordable housing purposes and has been replaced by funding from HUD and DCED. The intent is to close the account and apply all funds to the project, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I don't know if you have any, I know you discussed this last time, Director Strother. Any questions from committee, commissioners in general, township staff, residents? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. PA2 passes. PA3, this is a motion to accept the Transportation Alternatives Program, TAP, grant from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation in the amount of $450,000. The grant will support the construction costs for Phase 1 of the bicycle plan, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Again, pretty straightforward. I don't know if anyone... Commissioner Klein probably has
Yeah, I wanted to take the time for PE3 and PE4, since they're connected, to commend Tara on the work that was done for the grant, and also Simone Collins, who was also involved in the grant application, and the Master Bike Plan Committee that worked on putting this plan together. This will be a good start. I think it's 3.26 miles, if I remember, in the western part of the county, western part of the township, which connect 3 train stations, am I right? 2 or 3 train stations? Ardsley and Crestmont, and also go past Roslyn Elementary School, so it'll be a great addition to the township to start implementing the master bike plan. Look forward to having more grants in this realm.
Thank you, Commissioner Klein, and thank you, Tara, and everyone else who helped us get these grants. Any other questions from commissioners, township staff, residents? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. PA3 passes. Related is PA4. This is a motion to accept the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, that's the DCNR, grant in the amount of $90,000. The grant will support the design and engineering expenses to implement Phase 1 of the bicycle plan, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I think this is covered under Commissioner Klein's comments. Any questions from committee or other commissioners?
I guess I have a question.
Commissioner Kalinowski.
So pretty much the whole bicycle plan is funded, correct, by grants or close to?
These aspects, actually, probably, Tara, do you want to?
You'll see in PA5, that's where the expense comes in, but PA3 is for the construction costs, and then PA4 is the design and engineering. That's all the grant funds. And you'll see when read at PA5, that's where the proposal's coming in for the cost.
Okay. And that's for phase 1?
Correct.
Of the bicycle plan. Okay. Any other questions from commissioners, township staff? Residents? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. PA4 passes. Also related, PA5. This is a motion to accept the proposal from the team of Simone Collins Landscape Architecture to prepare the construction documents through the TAP grant for the Abington Trail project at a cost not to exceed $65,348. And I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Tara, any more? I mean, you pretty much laid that out, so we know where we're at with that. Questions from the committee? Commissioners in general? Township staff? Residents? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. PA5 passes. PA6. This is a motion to approve a lease addendum effective December 1st, 2017, extending the Old York Road Historical Society lease at Alverthorpe Manor 10 additional years and increasing the total leased area by 927 square feet. The annual rent obligation, including utilities, will increase to $15,183.36, effective December 1st, 2017, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. This is a lease. I don't know if anyone has never hasn't visited the Old York Road Historical Society set up at Alverthorpe. It's actually really interesting. What they do there and how they have it all laid out. Any questions from committee first? Other commissioners? Commissioner Hecker.
Commissioner Spiegelman, thank you. Just curious as to how the 10-year duration came about.
That is a good question. Tara, do you have a good answer for that? Oh, actually, or Andy, it's Alverthorpe. Really, anyone who knows, by all means, help me out.
I believe the 10-year came about with what the Old York Road Society once proposes to do and build up their storage there, and 10 years worked into what they were going to invest to be there. And I know we worked with it with David Rowland and Michael, and that we kind of hassled with some numbers, but they want to expand their storage area, but to bring a lot of stuff from outside storage places to the manor so they can house everything in one spot.
Their previous lease was a 3 or a 5 year?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I think it was 5.
Okay.
But I'd have to check that.
Commissioner Hecker, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
All right.
I think the previous lease was 5.
5, okay, thank you. All right, any other questions from commissioners? Township staff? Residents?
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. So just as I asked you to consider the shorter contract for the Lubavitch use of the building, I would also ask you to consider a shorter contract for this. And I wonder if a study has been done such that this building could pay for itself. This is an incredibly expensive space. And while it is perfect for a historical society, it also is extremely expensive, and the historical society is not paying for it. The residents are paying for it. They do have a lease. Obviously, that lease doesn't cover the costs of running that building.
It covers some of the costs. That's the
yeah,
idea.
It covers some of
you
it.
rent it out, and then that shifts the burden. You're correct. An old building like Alvethorpe Manor is complex and expensive to run and maintain. But the more tenants, the more revenue, the less taxpayer dollars have to go to take care of that building.
Well, that's correct, but unfortunately, what seems to be the case, and I tried to look into this before, is that the Art Center, for instance, when the Art Center was putting their little brass plaques in the pavement, it was fairly clear that the Art Center had quite a bit of money. They were doing very well. The Art Center is doing very well, and that's a use that can pay for that building, but unfortunately, they are not paying that enormous amount for that building. So that, trying to get the figures on that is actually very much like pulling teeth, and I'm not a dentist. So this has been the problem. Again, I ask for an open conversation where I don't have to pull teeth, and every time I have a question, I have to put in a right to know and know how to phrase it to find what document. I'd like to have a conversation perhaps with yourself, Commissioner Spiegelman, and with the manager to sit down and talk about how this art center, what funds they make, what percentage they actually produce, and I saw some documents that said something about equity for the art center. So I am concerned about those documents and that the art center is considering that their use there is building up equity. And in what fashion, and in what fashion do they consider their equity superior to our interests? All of that needs to be understood and explored. When I am required to explore it by putting in a right to know for anything I want to know, that's fairly impossible to do, and I think you know that. So I would like to talk about that, because that building has the potential to pay for itself and to be a gem that has activities that are for every resident. But at the moment, the residents are paying, and some of the activities are very, very limited in what the residents' access to them are. And the...
Just so you know, your time is up, so
All right.
thank you for your comments. And I will say, for general interest, I believe that at next month's Public Affairs Committee meeting, there'll be a presentation by the new director of the Art Center, whom I have not met yet.
And
So.
is there an analysis anywhere, a financial analysis of this
That I
building?
don't know, but we can ask.
I think you should. I think
we'll
you
see
should
if I
know that.
can ask that director. All right. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. PA 6 passes. PA 7, by the way, we're moving right along. Wouldn't you agree, Commissioner Hecker?
Indeed.
PA 7 is a motion to advertise a bid for the condenser replacement project at the Abington Library, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I think it pretty much speaks for itself. The condenser really does need to be replaced. Any questions from the committee? Commissioners in general? Commissioner Hecker thinks that's funny. The condenser is it's not condensing properly. Township staff? Residents? Hearing none? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. PA 7 passes. Look, it's our last agenda item. PA 8. This is stop making me laugh. This is a motion to adopt resolution number 17-013, authorizing the disposition of certain human resources records as set forth in Exhibit A, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. This is pretty de rigueur stuff. Any questions from the committee? Commissioners in general? Township staff? Residents? Human resources records.
Can you describe what human resources records in particular these might be that are being disposed of?
Does anyone have Exhibit A in front of them? I can open up my computer, but people have the hard time.
It says certain.
Yes, tell
certain
me,
records.
Commissioner Hecker, you're first. You found it first.
So we have 2013 to 14 job applications not hired, 2000 to 2013 health benefit waiver forms, 2007 to 2011 internal flu shot schedules and sign-up sheets. Very interesting. 2007, 2011, and 12 Delaware Valley Health Trust member census information. 1999 to 2000 and I don't know if that's 2001 or 11 random drug test results, DOT, non-DOT, and police personnel, and 2009 health insurance invoices.
All right, then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hecker.
Indeed.
Any further questions regarding PA 8? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
PA 8 passes. That concludes our formal agenda. I hope everyone was looking at the clock and applauding internally efficiency. Now we will entertain for 3 minutes any questions pertaining to the general purview of public affairs.
You're right.
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. In anticipation of there being a new manager at some point coming down the road, I understand he may not be leaving in April, but that the date's not been set. But in anticipation of that, I did requisition the manager's contract so that advice might be given in terms of a new manager's contract. The last manager, we had given some advice, some of which was taken, some of which was not. But in particular, I haven't had a chance even to finish looking at it, but in particular, one item seems to be that we have a manager who's pretty much allowed to set his own schedule.
I'm going to pause for a second because I don't want to get us sued. Counselors, this is personnel stuff. Are we?
The manager's contract is a public
Okay.
document. I don't think anything, I'm not sure if
All
anything
right.
we're hearing is relevant, but I don't think it's defamatory or...
Concern cheerfully withdrawn, please.
Okay,
Continue.
so my concern is that in the contract, the manager seems to be allowed to set his own time schedule and decide what things he might want to do comp time for and when he's coming and when he's going. And so that's completely at 100% an honor system. Now, I did email him and ask him, whether there are any documents anywhere that if somebody wanted to inquire and oversee what he had chosen. I don't have an answer to that. I wonder if you know that.
I don't.
So I think you
I-
should. So once again, as you being in charge of this ship here, I think you should know, and I am concerned that
motion
when
sick. I
you
don't
hire a new manager, that there would not be such if you allow that manager to take comp time or take days off, or, he works evenings, so maybe every Friday he's off, or whatever he decides to do, that's charted and known, and that there would be a paper to requisition where that is. Okay, so if he's working 9 to 5, maybe you don't need to do that, but if he's not working 9 to 5. I understand there are also other employees that aren't working, that seem to be collecting full-time salaries, but aren't working full-time weeks. So I think that's something that the board should know, and I think that's something that's not in the interests of the residents that you serve. I think it's important to put contracts out that are very much in the interests of the residents you serve and the dollars that they're paying in their taxes. I also wanted to say the ads on the channel. We made very clear that ads should not be there, and ads are when, you make a plea, and so you make a plea and you say, take this action. So the name of the producer is make your move, do this now, here's my phone number. That's the name of the producer. So one could argue they're not asking you to take an action, they're just saying the name of the producer. Make your move, here's my phone number.
Just for the record, your time is up.
Okay, so let me just say, 10 minutes of jump rope on channel is not in the interest of anybody, and before an important government meeting, and that's not in the interest of anybody. I would like to see that changed, and I hope that you will.
All right, thank you very much. Minutes of jump rope. All right, with that record agenda in such a short time, motion to adjourn? We're adjourned. Have a nice rest of the week.